Hari Om. लेट बैक हैं. हाँ. There is no big boss, small boss. There is only one boss. There is no real and unreal. There is only one boss. Unreal है तो वो boss नहीं है. There is only one boss. That is called Advaita Tattva. Hari Om. Oh. So the cold is already set in. Hope your plants are back inside. मर जाएंगे. So on Friday itself we moved all our plants inside. How many of you like this cold? यहाँ क्यों बैठे हो? जाओ नॉर्थ. No, this is not cold. But the cold season has set in. So stay warm. I think we are still trying to figure out how to the temperature. So it has been like a sauna inside. So drink a lot of water and be also careful, because I get the updates on all the signal groups, about 370 odd groups, and in each group there has been at least 4 to 5 kids that have said they are not able to come, they are not able to make it because it's a full-blown flu. So it's not COVID, but it is full-blown flu. I know it will also fly by, but until then, be careful, be cautious. So let us start with a prayer and begin. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Can you quickly step outside and ask them to reduce the volume a little bit? Not my volume, their volume. So we have seen different sets of personalities. One segment that we have seen is the Sthula, Sukshma, Karana Sharira. Another way to see these personalities is a further detailed one, which is called the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya and Anandamaya. Don't try to map this on that or that on this. The Sthula, Sukshma, Karana Sharira is a different classification. The Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya and Anandamaya are a different classification. Don't try to map them over each other, because there will be some places where it will not fit in. And at that point you will try fitting in and there will be a lot of questions asked. I am giving you a forewarning. Don't do that. Annamaya, that which is built on food, sustained in food, and turns to become food. It was in Hyderabad. We were in a gardens, somebody's house, a beautiful garden, old trees. Gurudev was walking in the front. We Yuva Kendra members were standing in the side, and he was taking a walk up and down and chatting with us. So So there were these two old trees whose branches were literally bending down and rising up. So he looked at them and looked at us all, and they said, "Do you know what these trees are doing?" We seldom understand human language. How are we to know the tree language? And we all were blank, staring at him. They said, "Both of them are having serious discussion." I said, "Seriously, what discussion?" Yes, Gurudev's way of narration was always that it would be like an intense, serious, and then you will see the punchline that it is hitting you. That is when you will understand it is a joke. A serious one with a point to be taken. They said, they both are having serious discussion. Which body is the most nutritious? Amongst all of us who are standing, which one is the most nutritious? And I says, anyway, after we quit this body, it has to become manure. So that is called Annamaya. That which is born of food, right? The father eats, it becomes the sperm. The mother eats, it becomes the egg. And then there is an ovulation process. Then in the gestation period for 40 weeks or so, the mother eats and the embryo grows. Annenaiva jivati, that which is sustained in food, then is born. Who does the grocery shopping at home? I would not know, so you can all raise your hands. Try to make a list per person. How many gallons of water, how many gallons of juice, how many gallons of milk, how many gallons of curd, how many tons of vegetables, how many tons of rice, roti, bread, pasta, nasta, everything consumed in a week. Multiply it by 54. Multiply it by the number of years on an average. Gluttonous this body is sustained. There are these very liberal neo-intellectuals that say, why waste milk on Shivalinga? Once you do this calculation, my question will be, why waste so much of milk or ghee or yogurt on this stupid body, which has done nothing good for anybody? So much that it is required to sustain this body. Constant. Morning, coffee samarpayami, then breakfast samarpayami, then snackam snookam samarpayami, then lunch samarpayami, then chai samosa samarpayami, then along with that some kadrum kudrum samarpayami, chakli chukli, kadrum kudrum. It makes that sound, right? When you eat. And then dinner samarpayami, midnight snack samarpayami. While just going before a sleep, a warm glass of milk samarpayami. Then, as though this was not sufficient, madhya water samarpayami, cool drink samarpayami, chayam samarpayami, coffee samarpayami. These are all non-toxins. Then bottled spirituality samarpayami. Toxins. See, eat grapes, very healthy. Eat barley, very healthy. It cleans your liver and kidneys. Eat rice, very healthy. drink putrefied toxin. समझ रहे हैं? इशारा काफी है ना? और डिटेल में जाऊं? So that which is sustained in the body, that which is sustained in the food, born in the food, sustained in the food, dies to become food for another organism. That is called Annamaya Kosha. Kosha means, sorry, there are two words, Maya and Kosha. Maya means that which is predominant of. Gurudev is to give an example, I keep repeating it. You go to a Tamilian's house, you ask them for coffee. If a Tamilian gives a what you call that instant coffee, he is not a Tamilian anymore. They have lost their birthright to be called as a Tamilian. Throw them away. It has to be the filter coffee. In that filter coffee, they have to have the meters in between. So, if you taste that, it is called decoction maya. You know that filter coffee, that decoction? So, it is higher, predominant. Sugar and milk, naam ke vaste. A little bit put there. Right? You go to Gujarat. You should not ask for a coffee. But if you do end up asking for coffee, it is called khada chammach. What does khada chammach mean? That there is so much of sugar that you put a spoon there, it will stand. Sorry, Amma. Facts are facts. In fact, Gujarati should not be called as Gujarati. They should be called as Good Jati. Why? Because even in their athano, pickle, there is good. I know. I speak only true. Dal is like panakam, is like, you know. So the coffee, what is it predominant with? It is sugar maya. It is not sugar. Sugar maya. No, ma. Rest of us are all naturally sweet. हम क्यों कम कर रहे हो? हम किसी से कम नहीं. Okay, that is sugar maya, means predominant with sugar. In Punjab, you should ask for lassi, but if you have made a mistake of asking coffee, you know those big lassi glasses? In that filled with milk, malai marke, few drops of coffee. I am not making it up. I have had such coffees. So that is called milk maya. So maya shabda you have understood, right? That which it is predominant of, higher percentage of. Kosha. Kosha means covering, sheathing. हिंदी में उसको मयान बोलते हैं. एक मयान में दो तलवारें नहीं हो सकते, रणा. डायलॉग तो सुना होगा. राजकुमार, उनका डायलॉग, एक मयान में दो तलवारें नहीं हो सकती, रणा. फेस में एक्सप्रेशन नहीं होता था, पर डायलॉग अच्छे बोलते थे. So mayan or sheath is called kosha. I mean, if you don't take it with the reference of a blade or a sword or a knife, at this point with the winter setting in, each one of us is in multiple layers. isn't it? And if poor fellows wear a tuxedo, a double-vested tuxedo, कितने layers होते हैं अंदर? There is the outer vest, then there is the inner vest, then there is the shirt, then there is the undershirt, then there is, वो 5-6 layer होते हैं, पक जाता है अंदर. And after the program, you just have to remove all of that and slice, put some salt, pepper, oven cooked. It's that, it's not easy. So these layers. So when you see the photo in the books, they're concentric circles. It may not be like that, but the idea is there is a grosser to the subtler. Grosser is that which is tangible. As you go to the subtle, it is not tangible to the organs of perception and action. How does one decide the subtlety? As the pervasiveness grows, it is considered as subtle. So there was one Yuva Kendra member, a boy, who was in our group. He was usually thin, but some operation, some medication, he suddenly put like, he became 125 kilos. So he was looking really all blown up. So he came to a camp with us. Gurudev looked at him and said, he has become all pervasive, so he must be subtle. Your pervasiveness increases, you are expected to be subtle. So this earth or stone is gross, you keep it, it is two-dimensional, it will stay there. Water flows, XY axis. Air has the Z axis also, Z axis. I have to now start using Z because I go back to India, I have to say Z. I have to change from schedule to schedule, semi to semi. याद रखना पड़ेगा सब, ना लोग मुझे चिढ़ाएंगे, अमेरिकनाइज हो गए हैं स्वामी जी. So coming back, the air has the Z axis, it is pervading. Space is that which allows all of this to exist in, and much more. So space is even more pervading. Just to get the idea of subtlety. Similarly, the Annamaya is the grossest, then comes Pranamaya. What is Pranamaya? Pranamaya is the last bridge, that which connects between the tangible and the intangible. If you put your mask on with your glasses, you will see the effect of Pranamaya. The glasses get, so you can it is still tangible. The mind, intellect and the Anandamaya Kosha, they are not tangible. But that which connects to the inner intangible, to the external tangible, is this bridge called Pranamaya. You control this Pranamaya, you can control both the external and the internal. The control of this prana is called Yama, is to control. Control of prana is called pranayama. A very scientific approach. What does this prana do? All the physiological activities that happen within the body is regulated by the pranamaya kosha. Supposing you have eaten something which is not healthy, Supposing you have eaten something which your body doesn't accept. Right under the stomach, there is something called a diaphragm. It usually works in one motion. Supposing you have eaten something spicy. कभी आया आपको? Hiccups, हिचकियां. Why does that hiccup happen? The diaphragm now has shifted its motion. How did the diaphragm suddenly shift its motion? This pranavayu goes inside and does 5 different physiological activities, out of which one of them is responsible for kicking out that which the body is not tailored to consume. And when that kick becomes stronger, ulti. We think ulti is like vomiting, but it is that diaphragm which has now become ulti in its motion, opposite in its motion. Now there are things that I have eaten which are safe to my body. Now that has to be digested, that has to be consumed, that has to be absorbed, that has to be spread across as energy. All of these activities are done by the pranavayu. Physiological activities. Have you ever had a brain wave? कभी कभी गलती हो जाता है, हुआ कि नहीं? Something spectacular, awesome, that inspirational happens. That also is the process of this, one of the aspects of this Pancha Prana. Udana Vayu helps us in that inspirational thought pattern. So physiological activities is the realm of this Pranamaya. Pranamaya also has the ability for the faculty of each organ, its functionality. It comes under this Pranamaya. Then comes Manomaya. We have dealt with it quite extensively. It's a seat of feelings, emotions, and it is a realm where the mind can easily jump into that which it has already experienced. ये क्या है? मेरा फोन है. हाँ, cell phone is a very generic knowledge, but otherwise it is मेरा phone. Have you seen my phone at a close range? No. But as soon as I picked, how did you recognize that it was a phone? हाँ, मेरे हाथ में कुछ भी हो सकता है, पर वो सेल फोन है, ऐसा कैसे पता चला? हाँ, you have seen the shape, you have seen the size, you have experienced millions of varieties, so it is a known realm. I show you the shape, you can tell me the name and form. I can describe you the form and shape, you can tell me the name and its qualities. Orange, what comes in your mind? एक बताओ, one option at a time. Orange and round. Hey, nahi. I know what thought came in his head. Swami ji. हाँ, please. आया ना? ठीक है. Check. Can you hear me? Okay. So what was the last thought? Setting sun and the rising sun both have orange color, round shape. But if I give you further more details to it, that it is tangy in taste, it is a succulent, it is filled with this amazing freshness of juice in it. Right? You are talking about a fruit. It can be any size, a cutie to a orange. The mind works in the realm of known. Mind is a good packaging agent of each moment into a experience. It is a very good editor. 5 sources, it receives data, packages them into experiences and stores them with tags. Who said, why said, when said, in front of whom said, all of the details it packages in there. That is the Manomaya Kosha. Then comes the Kosha of Vijnanamaya. Of this data that has become an experience which has been stored, what to make of it? How to decipher it? Within a family, there are a lot of signals that you do where you don't want everybody to know, but that particular family member to know, and you have those signals. होता है कि नहीं? आंखों से इशारा हो जाता है. If you find that your spouse is telling something or which they should not be telling, and it is in front of that particular crowd about which you have already discussed, and is inadvertently saying it, and you are like, oh my goodness, he's saying that here. You're giving signal. होता है कि नहीं? इशारों से, इशारों में दिख जाता है. That particular ishara to be understood and deciphered, to be understood as this message. Right? Again, each culture has its own designated symbolic way of saying things. As an Indian, how would you say water? How do you symbolically show water? You say that anywhere in Europe, they will say, what are you asking? Their symbol of water is different. This is only in India and that area. So symbols are also different. And to understand those symbols, now let me go one step subtle. Language, words and its meanings and its subtler implications, it has to be deciphered. You look wise. Now if I add a little smile to it, you look wise. Meaning बदल गया कि नहीं? One is verbatim saying you look wise. The other is contradicting it. उसका लक्ष्यार्थ अलग है. And you have to understand that the intellect is processing it. It's a very sharp tool that we have. I'm trying to search for any other equipment that I have. Now that I have this equipment. अरे वाह, You should immediately be taken into Indian team. It has been failing pathetically. Cricket team. Now if you see that, what did I do? I threw a pen at him. Did you know that I was going to? Did you have any inkling that it will? So it was not pre-staged. बता रहा हूँ भाई. Because this is a cancel culture that we are living in. कुछ भी बोलो cancel कर देते हैं आजकल. तो मैं बता रहा हूँ कि this is not pre-staged. So now that that is taken care of, when I throw it, the eyes are seeing it. Okay, was it like a surprise or a shock? Somewhere in between. What? Why? Why me? Why it's coming anyways? But then it registered. And as it registered, you saw it coming towards you. The mind is reading it. The mind is taking all the possible, probable parameters into account. From what place has it been hurled? It has its own markers. It has crossed the stage wall from the top. And it has moved in these many fractions of seconds. So maybe it is coming at this particular speed. Speed is being evaluated. The most complicated calculation. Add the trajectory to it. It's a projectile. The probable place it is going to land. It is deciphering all of this, giving the data to the intellect to process. It is processing it on the go. Having processed it, it didn't recognize, it didn't even register, but registered, then read the data. Having read the data, now it has given the instructions. Should I duck? Should I move aside? Should I catch? That decision has to be made. So finally, when the intellect made that decision, it gave out the instructions to the mind came down to the hands moved in that particular angle, in that particular projectile action, and received that pen. It's not complicated processing. It's not, we just take it for granted. To stand from there and walk, do you know how much of science is involved? The angle of contact, the angle of your movement, without slipping, without falling, analyzing, knowing, and then stepping, and you're doing it consciously every single moment. The intellect is processing it. But we take it for granted because it seems to happen seamlessly always. All this processing, from the subtlest aspect to the grossest aspect, Vyavaharika to Antarika, from the most external to the most internal, every aspect is being processed. So when somebody says, I am clumsy, that fellow is not paying enough attention, that's all. Otherwise, the intellect is not clumsy. It is the most powerful tool that we have. When we are told certain things to be done in a certain pattern by our elders, we understand the reasons also, and yet we don't adhere to it. At least when I was growing up, डांट इस तरह पढ़ते थे हिंदी में कि तेरी बुद्धि घास चरने गई है. Has your intellect gone off to wander and graze in some lawn? Bring it back to this present moment. Pay attention. Why? You are making the mistake not because you don't know, because your intellect is not, buddhi is not paying attention. Buddhi is that kind of sukshma grahi. Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya. Now comes the Anandamaya. Anandamaya is exactly same as Karana Sharira, but the aspect that which is covering here is with respect to the Ananda. Ananda meaning the sense of joy. So understand it this way. It has several layers. Some of the most prominent layers is called Priya, Moda, Pramoda. Then Ananda. Priya, when you think of something that you like. For example, a fresh raw mango snapped from the branch of a mango tree. Fresh curry की जो smell आती है ना, you wash it. You peel the green part, skin, with delicate hands, and then take a knife and slice it. Pick it up, spread it on a plate, a little bit of salt, a little bit of red pepper, roll it front and back. You take a piece. You have the smell. You have now the anticipation of it. That framework of mind which now that you are all in imagining that which you like, is called Priya. Has your mouth started salivating? That is the effect of that Priya. Now, hearing my example, somebody brought it in here. It's now a reality. In next 15 minutes, as soon as this class is there, that can be eaten up. That framework of our mind, which our mind reaches to, in seeing that which I have been anticipating, which is right in front of me, is called Moda. Priya, Moda. The one who makes your imaginations into a reality of happiness, therefore is called Modaka Hasta. Modam dadati iti modaka. Who are we talking about? Bhagwan Ganeshji. One of the hands that he holds is Modak. What does Modak mean? That Priya which is now a reality which you can now experience. Not yet experienced, but can experience. Modaka. Then that slice of mango dipped on both sides with salt and red pepper is now in your hand and you have taken a bite. That is called Pramoda. We try to anticipatorily repeat this Pramoda from the same element again and again and not experience it, therefore it is called Pramada. Where you don't find that Pramoda anymore, it becomes Pramada. Then when all the senses, all the activities of the mind, they all are withdrawn. Hopefully not during the class. They're all withdrawn. And then, but unfortunately or fortunately, the higher percentage of people sleeping happens in satsang. One of the benefits of satsanga, it cures insomnia. So when all of these activities are withdrawn, the intellect also has been withdrawn. You reach to a certain state where absence of this activity and agitation, you are in a state of peace. In that peaceful state, you are closest to your own true nature, which is reflecting right there. Though it is expressing, there is no buddhi to recognize it. Therefore, it is a state of ignorance. But what is the quality of experience? Is called Ananda. Therefore, there are many people who in the middle of thick problems, when they cannot face it, I have seen such people. Blessed be such people. They say, मैं टेंशन हैंडल नहीं कर पा, मैं जाके सो जाता हूँ. I am the kind where I have any situation, until it is resolved, I cannot sleep. There are these people, they immediately, मैं तो सो जाऊँगा. And they immediately sleep also. Why? Mind agitations are not there. Blissful state. But when I wake up, do I remember it? I only know it as that state where my intellect has not registered as an experience. Absence of the intellect's interaction is what we have the experience as. Like when you are recording, there is a recording has worked, but there is nothing recorded. It is dark. Such a dark spot of the intellect as an experience is that Nidra Sthiti, which is the aspect of Ananda which has been taken in this particular classification. So, each one of us is already endowed with these different layers. At least for the discussion of all of us here, do we all have these layers? Are they all functional? Are they all functioning well according to what I have just described? Yes. So, we are blessed with good functional layers. Now, one of the key aspects that the Upanishads focus upon, Bhagavad Gita focuses upon is in three aspects: the experiencer, the experience, and the experienced world. These three interactions, these three happening in every interaction, what are we trying to enhance? The quality of the experience, the textural quality of the experience. We have tried enhancing the object of experience. We have changed milk into paneer whatever. You have enhanced it, right? That's how we enhance the world. Morning I woke up, I saw my own face, I didn't like it, so washed it, cleaned it, applied whatever, and then made it, enhanced it. Everything, the objects of experience are enhanced by us. And yet, the textural quality will only increase when these 5 layers or those 3 layers explained are integrated to one focal point. The science of bringing the mind and intellect together to that integrated point from where I can stand, experience, and collectively gather to move forward the best of the experience. Preferably from a detached disposition. This is what Upanishad and Bhagavad Gita focuses upon. So that which teaches us this balanced approach, comprehensive approach is called knowing my Swadharma, and that which teaches that Swadharma is called Dharma Shastra. That which now goes from that Dharma Shastra into the internal is called Vedanta Shastra. Am I getting across? So our scriptures, when they are focusing upon, yes, the Western academia has reduced the entire Hindu ethos, cultural ethos of an unbroken civilization into 4 or 5 different categories: paganistic, cow worshipping, casteistic, oppressive, patriarchal. But is that what it is? We as Hindus have to know that that is not what it is. There is much more. What that much more is, if we have clarity and the conviction of our own experience, do you think we can be boxed in these 5? And when somebody boxes us in these 5, we'll box them back. मतलब उसी डब्बे में उनको बंद कर सकते हैं. मैंने बस इतना ही बोला है. Box them back मतलब ऐसा वाला बॉक्सिंग नहीं था, बता रहा हूं. So both this Dharma Shastra for the interaction and enhancing the texture of the experience by the experiencer, by integrating all of these layers into one focal point, is the Vyavahara. From thereupon, turning within, applying the Shastra to the inner world is the Vedanta Shastra. All our rituals, various kinds of rituals, now connecting that which I spoke several weeks ago into this. What are those rituals called? They are called samskara. And those samskaras are meant for fine tuning at each step, each one of these layers. So the rishis have spent, the entire Upanishadic knowledge has spent its time in understanding the subtleties of the individual, subtleties of the entire world around, so that both the inner world and the outer world can be mastered. By mastering one's own self, integrating one's own self. Now here, this particular chapter ends. I think the next chapter that begins is called the religion, the science of life. We'll start that next week. Do you have any questions? Don't create them for me with what you have heard if you have questions. That it is talking about the Ananda aspect. So Ananda we experience even in the material world, in our interactions. They are of these kinds of classifications. But the Pragada Nidra, the deep sleep, is where we experience Ananda bliss, but at that time the intellect is not available, therefore we don't recognize it. So in a way, meditation is to be in a sleepful state awarefully, which is quite a contradiction. But there are methods to reach there awarefully. Two more minutes. Any other questions? कोई क्वेश्चन? एनी क्वेश्चन? नहीं है? हाँ, प्लीज प्रोसेस इट. Why? It was not your experience also. हाँ. See, one thing that I did mention is our own true nature is reflecting these experiences, right? So at that point, what is happening when the pramoda is happening? All the mind's thinking processing comes to a standstill. At that nischala, non-wavering moment inside the equipment, what is actually surfacing is my true nature, which I am attributing it to that mango. That wholesome is what we experience in our deep sleep. That is our own true nature. But at that point, the intellect is not available, so it doesn't even recognize that experience. But what we go through is Ananda. Does that clarify? Okay, continue. I like these processors. मेरे लिए homework कम रहेगा. Any more questions in the back? Oh, you processed it. Okay. I did not talk about meditation. I did not talk about anything else. I just took our raw experience, normal day-to-day raw experience, and connecting the dots, saying this is the experience which can happen and be validated only if there is this aspect of the self within. I have not talked about how to get there. I have not yet spoken about the methods, means and application. Just the raw data processing, which we don't even pay attention to, has been processed. That's all. As we go into the steps of the religion, the science of life, we will go through the processing. At that time we can, your question is one chapter too early. But I am glad it is one chapter too early, which means you are processing in the right direction, which is good. No, I got it. You raised your hand, but we'll stop because I don't have time. Om Shanta Shanta Shanti Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Take care.